Hello and welcome to BrickView, a show for reviewing and possibly chastising the Brickfilms and Brickfilmers out there. An important note to begin with, this is the last BrickView that will ever be aired on the Lisa is a Nut channel. I have created a channel specially for BrickView, so if you're interested in seeing any more of these, then head over to that channel. There will be a link in the description. With that, I say that I am joined by Nick Nitkowski Jr.
Hello, I am Nitkowski Pictures, formerly known as Filmmaker16.
And we are reviewing Galactic Recon Part 2 in our 3-part series of Aaron and Nick review Galactic Recon. So, we're going to start, as we always do, with the storyline. So, Nicholas, what did you think?
In terms of the story, this is hard for me because I actually liked Galactic Recon Part 1 way more than I liked Part 2. Mainly because, how do I put this? It just didn't have the same feel as the first one to me.
I do very much understand what you mean. I personally don't know whether I prefer this one or the last one, but I know what you mean in that it feels very different, because the first one was entirely a beginning. It had loads of other characters, it was setting everything up. It was very fast-paced. It never stopped in giving us more for the story.
I was just going to say that that's exactly what I wished would be in this one. I was hoping that this one would also be very fast-paced and keep my attention and, keep me interested in what was happening. But, this one seemed more dialogue-based.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Which is fine.
There is still the story going on, obviously, there's the overarching story, but I think I would say 60% of this was a comedy dialogue between different characters, and don't get me wrong, it's funny. There's the character of Chef I thought was inspired, but I don't know, whether he had a place. Because it's very tonally different from Part 1.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that kind of bugged me a little bit about Part 2.
I enjoyed it. Overall storyline, it got from where the last episode, or rather where the last part left off, and got us to a new point where it can drop us off and then leave us wanting more. Because I was left wanting more, and that is something I think that the film maybe did a bit wrong, because it was just getting into the action, it had just propelled itself forward, and then suddenly it stopped.
Exactly.
I think that it feels like very much a setup episode, not setting up a beginning again, it's just setting up an end. The beginning, the actual Part 1, the beginning, was setting up the entire film, the storyline, the actual beginning. Then this just feels like a setup for a finale. But what was there was very good, and I liked the character development, and we're learning more about Smith's backstory, and the dream sequences were quite well done, in that they were coloured differently from the rest of it, but not stupidly different. It wasn't black or white, and it wasn't anything like that, it was just sort of slightly overexposed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're correct. It felt more like a setup, not only for a finale, but the setup for a middle, so kind of makes me wonder if this should be called Galactic Recon 1.5, if anything.
Maybe it'll work at the end when he can, because I know he is going to put all the parts together and release that. Maybe it'll work when we see it then, but it just doesn't work now.
Well, that would be a fantastic idea to merge all parts together.
That was originally the plan, but it was taking too long, so he split it.
I see.
So now we're going to talk about the animation, and it's very much the same as the last one in that it's not awful, but it's not brilliant.
Exactly. The animation for this still had all the positives of the first one and the negatives of the first one. And for those watching or listening in on this, listen to our review of Galactic Recon Part 1. And you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Well, we're going to discuss some of the issues again here, I guess.
Last time we compared it to between the worst kind of animation, the earthquakey sort of just terrible sort of beginner's animation to where, let's say, I am now. It's between there where the motion is fluid enough that it doesn't annoy me to watch it, but it's still too judderly. And that's a word that I just made up for this review because that's how committed I am to reviewing this thing.
Which brings me to the other problem that I had with the film, which is the exact same problem that I had with the first one, and that is when the characters are like jumping or falling way too slow. And but even still, I think it could have been a lot faster than that.
The animation's good, but a little bit too slow.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on that one.
Okay, the voice acting. I've actually got some notes about the voice acting.
Well, I'll let you go first on the voice acting.
Righto. The voice acting overall, I think, was decent. There were a few performances I felt were kind of lackluster in that they didn't really sort of they just existed in that they sort of like, oh yeah, we're on a ship and we're oh no, there's some stuff. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Sort of that kind of voice acting, which for the tone of this, which is very dark throughout, just didn't work. It was too monotonous and too unemotional to work for such a dark story.
Yes. To any voice actor that's listening in on this, you gotta commit to your role. You gotta, like, don't be afraid to, like, really commit. If the character is yelling or screaming, at least try. Don't give the monotone type of yell, because it's not convincing.
Chef especially. I know I said that Chef really didn't seem like he belonged in this, but I'm glad he was in it because his voice actor was amazing and the way he was written was very funny.
True, but at the same time I felt that he was just a little bit out of place.
Oh, he was out of place, definitely. Like,
even really fully needed to be in the film.
No, I think it's comic relief. I think it might be because the film was so dark that there needed to be some comic relief in.
Yes, when it comes to comic relief, there's this subtle way of doing it, and then there's the obnoxious way of doing it. The subtle way is, cracking a joke.
Yeah.
The obnoxious way is having a character put in the film for the sake of comic relief.
I'm not gonna say that I didn't enjoy the moments with Chef, because I did. What I'm saying is that while he was well written, while he was well voice acted, while the moments with him worked for what they were as a singular entity, they don't work when you put them in the pie that is Galactic Recon Part 2.
Agreed.
But yeah, that's us done with the voice acting, and now we are going to talk about the sound design, which really suffered in this one. Like, the sound design wasn't brilliant in the last one, but in this one there were entire moments when people move where it's completely silent. Which also brings me on to a note that I made, which was that when the music is there, the music is incredible. The music is really well done, it's well placed, it works where it is, and there doesn't seem to be any bit of music that I thought, well, that doesn't really belong in this film. Every bit of music works, but then, for no reason, the music just goes away. Like, these amazing tracks that I'm listening to while these people do things, especially during the final half of the film when it gets a bit more amped up, those just sort of disappear during some moments where the music could very well have built up the tension or worked in service to the story, but it just wasn't there. And I don't know why it wasn't there, because it was very good music when it was there.
I think I have to rewatch it because I don't recall that at all, and I watched it this morning.
Yeah, I know. I make notes when I watch them, so I remember these. But yeah, the sound design was not fantastic. It was there, and I'm glad of it. I'm glad that it was where it was, but it needed to be in more places.
I can agree with you on that.
And next, on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have visual effects, which there are less of them in this film, thankfully, because we made our thoughts on the VFX quite clear in the last one, in that we thought they didn't all need to be there. We thought they were a bit flashy and some rather unnecessary. But on this one, they were only used when necessary, in that they were used for exterior space scenes, and that was pretty much it.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because this is just a little tiny nitpick. As if everything I haven't...
We live for nitpicks here on BrickView. We live for them.
Yeah. As if everything I've said thus far hasn't already been a variety of nitpicks.
Well, we're known for criticizing. We highlight the bad things and don't highlight the good, even if we do enjoy a film.
That is true. Okay, so during the exterior space shots, I think I would have gone about it very differently. I think I would have built a space station out of Lego on a green screen or what have you, and then just like expand it exponentially to make it look huge, and then build the little ship also on green screen, and then, you know, once you chroma key everything out, you can move everything freely a little bit more that way.
Yeah.
Instead of having just full-on CG Legos, which are completely like a big punch in the face.
If we do compare it to Part 1, it is a major improvement.
Yes.
Because it was only used when necessary. There is some green screen work while they're looking out of the windows of the ship, and that's done decently. I find myself using the word decent quite a lot. The explosion effect at the end was actually done quite well, because it wasn't one flat explosion, it was an explosion behind the table and then another one went off in front of it, so I liked the depth of that explosion.
Another thing that I noticed in terms of visual effects, the flaming frying pan, which, again, total nitpick, but...
The flaming frying pan?
Yeah, it's very brief when it shows the chef character. But there's
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, there's an obvious flame inside the frying pan, which, again, if you're cooking something and it's on fire, chances are you're probably not a good chef. But, yeah, I don't think...
Well, what was his menu? It was beans with beans. It was bacon with beans. It was beans with stuff.
And apparently charred to frickin' crisp with that fire. Yeah, the fire did not really need to be there. We see the frying pan, we know it's a frying pan. You don't need to have it up in flames to signify that it's a frying pan. A little bit of CG steam probably would have been a little bit of a better choice, but I preferred to have had nothing there.
And now on to spoilers, where we talk about every little story nitpick, every event that we couldn't talk about during the main part of the show, because it would have given everything away. So... I want to start because I've got some stuff. The scene with the one character in the engine room where he's trying to fix it, or the generator room, I'm not entirely sure, I'm sorry. But
who uses engines anymore?
Yeah, who uses engines? It's all generators now. But I liked that there was an actual blue light source in that sort of Star Trek-y sort of generator pod thing, instead of some like CG glowy effect. It was an actual light that made the scene look quite good and differentiated it from the rest of the show, which was either grey darkness or white bright. It differentiated it. It gave it like a nice colourful feel where it was otherwise quite monotone in a way. Monochrome, rather.
Monochrome, not monotone. That's sound.
Yeah, shut up. On at the end, when the aliens do appear, they are done quite well in that, to begin with, they're not shown. Like, they could have had it leap into frame and just sort of rawr, but they didn't do that. It was done very horror movie-esque. And the first kill from those aliens, you don't see. It's the computer that tells them the life sign has gone. You never ever see the person get killed.
Yes, I did like that part.
I like that as well, because everyone overshows things nowadays. At the end, when we say it built up and then dropped, it was that these aliens appear and they're hostile and they're attacking everyone and they're killing people and explosions are going off, they escape. The engine on their ship, the one that they travel to the Goliath in, is cut out. There's aliens on that ship. There's aliens on the ship that our team are on. All this kind of stuff. You're like, oh my god, what's going to happen? How are they going to get out of it? And then suddenly, to be concluded. And it just feels like a massive punch in the gut, because I so wanted to see what was going to happen. But it just, I want to see the next part.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't pull a stunt that Peter Jackson pulled in his Hobbit trilogy, which I assume you did not watch.
I saw the first one and it was terrible, so I didn't go back for the rest of them.
Okay, well, truth be told, the
oh wait, do you mean the bit where it leaves Smaug at the end of Desolation of Smaug, and then at the start of Battle of the Five Armies, it's like 10 minutes of Smaug and he's gone?
Yeah, and that could have been used in the part 2 while not taking away from what the third movie was. I'm really hoping that's not the case for Galactic Recon.
So you're hoping that he doesn't have all this build-up in this episode, then it's resolved in like 2 minutes, then the rest of it is them getting back home?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be a massive kick in the balls. Huge
kick in the balls. I couldn't help but notice this little thing, another little nitpick, if you will. I am the kind of guy who just absolutely 110% despises stickers on Lego minifigures to pass off as something. And I noticed that on the aliens. And I think I would have done that completely differently as well. I'm all for, trying to stay original. You don't want to use, like, certain character, heads to make something else because everyone would be like, oh, we know what this is. Don't like stickers on minifigs.
If decaling's done well, then it can pass off. But if it is done with, like, a piece of paper, then,
it becomes insanely noticeable. Yeah, it kind of took me out for a brief second.
Reminder, this is the last BrickView going up on the Lisa's and Nut channel. The future BrickViews, of which we have a few already planned, including a review of Smith Movies Inc.'s The Last Stand with me, and I can't reveal who I'm hoping to get as a host just in case they don't accept, but it'll be someone that has never been on before. And we have a review coming out soon. That will be the only BrickView thus far to not feature me, because it is a review of my film, The First Necromancer, that will be hosted by the director of the film we just reviewed, Bryn Jones, and he's hopefully getting a guest host that I again can't reveal because we don't know whether they have accepted yet.
Is it me?
So, no, it's not. So in the future, look out for The Last Stand and First Necromancer and however many else come in the future, because we're going to try and get a semi-regular schedule going for BrickView. I got there in the end, okay? There will be links in the description to my channel, to Nick's channel, and to the BrickView channel, where there won't be any more information, and all the uploads are out of order because of failing uploads. So, please visit and subscribe there if you're interested. If you're not, don't subscribe there. But if you are, please subscribe there. I'm going to stop talking now. Nick, say bye. Okay, hold it right there, Past Aaron. You've been a massive idiot because you and Nick forgot to give the film a rating. You guys are such crazy kids. Okay, so in all seriousness, for the last BrickView on the Lisa's Nut channel, we couldn't help but be total morons. So, here are our ratings for Galactic Recon Part 2. Nick has given it a 5, which is an average rating on the BrickView scale. And I give it a... I think I give it a 6 or a 7. I think I'll go with a 7. It's a good film. It's above average, so it's a good film. It could be better, but it's a good film. Okay, so that's me out of the way, me as future Aaron. I'm going to hand it back to the idiots Past Aaron and Past Nick as they close out the film. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And here we go back to the idiots.
Goodbye. Join us next time. Next time where we review Rage of Ultron, my own video.
Join us next time where we will review Galactic Recon Part 3, the concluding part to the Galactic Recon franchise. And
dun.
And the final part to Aaron and Nick review Galactic Recon. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. It has been wonderful serving with you. Okay, I'm done. Stopping recording. Ugh.